Quindi nel frattempo passiamo la parola al professor Pertile, che invece ci parlerà appunto di Calvino e sostenibilità.
Buongiorno, eccomi o rieccomi qui a parlare della sostenibilità, però in inglese, se non mi sbaglio, vero? Yesterday, as you know, October the 15th was Italo Calvino's 100th birthday. Unfortunately, and as you know, he was not here to celebrate. Calvino died 38 years ago as he was preparing to deliver the Charles Eliot Norton Lectures at Harvard University, at a time when he probably was the most famous and most translated Italian writer in the world. He was also a most innovative and surprising thinker, whose work is still relevant today thanks to a visionary quality that may have escaped his readers when he was alive. As a young man, Calvino published many short stories and a novel on the recent war and the fight against Nazi fascism, a subject that was very much in tune with the political climate of the times. But then, suddenly, he produced a novel, The Baron in the Trees, Il Barone Rampante, that shocked his readers, including myself, I must admit. It was the story of Cosimo, a brilliant 12-year-old boy who one day, frustrated by his narrow-minded family, climbs into the trees outside his home and stays there not only for 1 or 2 days, but until the end of his life, when he disappears in a balloon. I still remember how disappointed we were in Italy, at least at first. Calvino's change seemed outrageous to us until we realized how his book could entertain children's imagination and at the same time tease, provoke, stimulate the minds of adults towards a fresh and new understanding of the world. This is something that the book still does today in ways that perhaps not even Calvino imagined. The story is set 2.5 centuries ago. This is the story of the Baron in the Trees. It is set in Liguria, the region of northwestern Italy, where Calvino grew up, between the mountains and the sea, a region largely covered by trees then, oaks, pines, larches, chestnuts, plane trees. They were so thick, writes the narrator, and Cosimo's brother, that Cosimo could move for miles by passing from one branch of a tree to another branch in another tree without never ending to, without ever ending, sorry, without ever needing to descend to earth. However, this state of affairs did not last for long. For as Calvino writes, people began cutting the woods as if they were meadows that are cut down every year and grow again. At first, we thought, the narrator says, that it was something to do with the war, with Napoleon, with the period, instead of which it went on and on. Now, the hillsides are so bare that it gives us a shock when we look at them, we who knew them before. Now, these lines could have been written today, of course. Most of the woods that populated that region have gone. In their places, there are roads and building developments. Great progress, no doubt, that has benefited everyone in the region, except that when it rains a bit too much, it can happen that the land, no longer sustained by the trees, slides down, sweeping away everything in its path, including people and all their belongings. It's a tragic sign that we have broken the balance between us and Mother Nature. Calvino's Stories of Marco Valdo, another book that he published exactly 60 years ago, brings this idea even further, much, much further, in fact. Marco Valdo, the protagonist of these stories, is a factory worker who lives with his family in a city where nature has been almost completely obliterated. Roads, housing, factories, commercial buildings, concrete have taken over completely. There are no trees left, no meadows, no open spaces. As Adriano Celentano sings in a famous song, Il ragazzo della via Gluck, solo case su case, catrame, cemento, là dove c'era l'erba ora c'è una città, sings, I remember, Adriano Celentano. Just houses upon houses, asphalt and cement. Where there were meadows, there is now a city. Industrialization, with all the good things that it has brought, has destroyed the natural habitat. It has reached ends that are the opposite of what Marco Valdo needed. In another book, The Città Invisibili, Invisible Cities, published 50 years ago, there is a city, Leonia, whose inhabitants love so much having everything new that they love it so much that every day they throw out everything they had the day before. Every day, street cleaners come and take the old things away, but nobody wonders or cares where they carry such immense load of refuse. The garbage is so robust, so well made, that it resists time, the elements, fermentations, combustions. Soon a fortress of indestructible leftovers surrounds Leonia, dominating it every side like a chain of mountains. It sounds paradoxical, extremes, obviously, but it is. But is it really so? Is it really extreme? In fact, Calvino foresaw a crucial issue that 50 years later was to become obvious to everyone: how and where to dispose of the huge amount of garbage that the civilized, opulent world produces every day, that we produce every day. The scientists of Leonia, as the scientists of our time, are so clever that they develop almost indestructible raw materials. Wonderful progress, no doubt, except that they are almost indestructible. That is the problem. Calvino foresaw how materials, objects, and devices created by human ingenuity can have disastrous effects on our Earth. Think only of the daily use that almost every human being in every corner of our planet makes of plastic, a material that in its countless guises has become integral to our lives, our comfort, our convenience. Unfortunately, since we do not know how to get rid of it as rapidly as we produce it, sooner or later it will engulf us, polluting most of our land and waters. Already, gigantic islands of garbage have formed in our oceans, and enormous quantities of microplastics are mixed with the waters of the Mediterranean. In many cities all over the planet, as Calvino already imagined in the cloud of smoke, the cloud of smog, there are days when the air is so polluted that it is dangerous for people to leave home. Calvino was a writer who loved science and often wrote about it, but also one who understood how essential it is that the discoveries of science and their practical applications be used responsibly, where responsibly means paying serious attention to their long-term consequences. At first, the deforestation of Cosimo's time and the industrialization of Marco Valdo seem to be, and in many ways are indeed, good for humanity. But in the long run, they may have devastating effects on our life unless they are practiced paying serious attention to natural sustainability. Literature understood this fundamental principle well before it became the object of political controversy. 700 years ago, another great, or perhaps the greatest Italian writer, Dante Alighieri, made it very clear in his Divine Comedy. We human beings, in our constant search for prosperity and happiness, must use our intelligence with moderation, lest we destroy whatever good we may be given by God or Mother Nature. This is the awesome challenge to which Calvino, in his writing, calls young people today. By all means, use all the resources of our planet for your needs, but only to the extent to which nature renews them for the use of future generations. Again, the vision of literature proves to be as vital to the well-being of humanity as the discoveries of science. Thank you for listening.